Done rehearsal, everyone on their A game. Remember, we are top draw professionals, thank you. Camera time!
For your character, being a part of Tecto means something more than just a selfish gain. I wonder, do you think there is a place for such emotions on big budget film sets?
Yes, it's a really good question, that. I think there can be, because I think sometimes passion can really drive people to make something the best thing it can be artistically, rather than just make it happen and make it, get it done, because it needs to, be packaged and sent out, as it were. So I think there's something that I really liked about Daniel's sort of passion for the subject matter. He really loves this world, he loves the franchise, he read the comics, he wears the sort of vests and his sort of, his paraphernalia from previous jobs with pride. And so the fact that he cares about this and he wants it to be good is a virtue, but I think it's also then what kind of leads him maybe slightly astray. He cares about it so much that he then maybe thinks he knows better.
How did the idea for the series come about?
Yeah, so the initial idea came from a lunch that Sam Mendes had with Armando Iannucci 6 or 7 years ago, in which they were looking for an idea for something to work on, and I think they couldn't land on anything. So Sam started telling stories about making the Bond films, and he was talking about how that was and the weird things you end up doing when you're making a big movie. And from that, Arm said, maybe there's a show in that. And so they started talking about doing a TV show. And then I came onto it about 3 or so years ago. It seemed like an interesting time to write about the superhero franchises, because they were going through a bit of turbulence and it wasn't quite as plain sailing, and maybe there was superhero fatigue, or maybe the audiences were getting restless, or they wanted something else. And it felt like a fun time to write about the end of a big entertainment empire. Like, what does it look like when this big thing starts to cave in on itself?
Can you tell us something about the nature of a collaboration with Sam Mendes and John Brown?
I mean, first of all, I thanked Sam Mendes so many times that he invited a German to this wedding, because we are not famous for comedy. So I think they were looking everywhere. They wanted a European director, I guess. Yeah, Sam made us forget very quickly that we were dealing with a guy like him, of that status, and that aura that he has, I think, on day 2, I would say, maybe not on day 1, we got more and more, unrestrained.
Well, we slept with them for starters to get the job, and we found that very, very helpful. And we're having their surrogate children, so that's, it's paid off.
I don't know what this whole we is. Richard did. I did not.
We did.
Yeah, it was great. Sam is the master. Yeah, fantastic. John wrote great stuff on Succession and here, along with his colleague Tony Roach and Marina Hyde, and they were great.
He doesn't have maybe comedy on his CV, but if you ever meet him, he's incredibly funny. He's very funny, and he's a really good storyteller. So he has those instincts, and he's just absolutely brilliant with the cast and casting the show, bringing the ensemble together. But they genuinely became such a cohesive little unit, and it was honestly one of the most pleasing elements of the whole show for me, was seeing the real friendship. When I see them in a room together, they really like each other, and that is amazing. And I think Sam had a big part in that, cohering them into this group and working with them and rehearsing with them. And I think Sam's shooting style, he's very meticulous, which is really pleasing for me, and he shoots in a very specific way. And he had an idea for how he wanted to shoot the pilot, and he had a very clear idea, and he just has such confidence. So
your series focuses mostly on the tension of a film set. In doing so, was it hard to maintain the positive atmosphere of a set?
That's a good question, but it wasn't hard at all. It wasn't hard at all. I think that's a big part of what we do anyway. Like, energy is really important. Like, what you bring and what you give is massive. Not only in the acting department, but in all departments. It's all about interaction and connection and communication and collaboration. So, we're all like across that. I guess that's why we do it, because that's what we like.
When you were creating your character, did you have any actual film director in mind?
Yeah, it was a bit of a combination of, people I've worked with. Then I was also thinking a little bit of Werner Herzog and his Germanness and, particular, attitude that you appreciate also when he talks, in his documentaries and interviews. And Sam Mendes himself, obviously, because he was telling us a lot about his experiences on these gigantic Bond films. Then also, my sulky attitude that I have myself when I remember when I directed my first and only film so far, how I was when, I was unhappy with, decisions that we had to take because of that or that problem, so.
Okay, Richard, now I have to ask you about it. Do you really hate the superhero franchise that much?
No, I love them. I've been in Logan, and I was classic Loki in an episode of the Loki series, so no, I love them. I've seen the Joker 4 times.
The Joker is not a superhero. Why do we keep calling Joker a superhero? Why do you insist on doing that? He's not a superhero.
This man has got 4 minutes left, and you're now trying to argue with me.
Hopefully, it's going to get him into his next question.
I think that the franchise can resonate pretty strongly with the film industry community members. I wonder, do you have any scenes or moments or aspects of the series that you think that will resonate with them the most?
I mean, there's sort of nods to the VFX world. I think the thing with that whole VFX thing is it's actually kind of painfully true. They're sort of very overworked in these fields of, big budget franchise CGI blockbusters. There's a lot of work that goes into them now, and I think they are pretty intensely worked teams of people, so...
I think the night shoots too. Like, people don't understand. When you're seeing night on screen, that's people working overnight for usually multiple days. I mean, there's some famous night stories, like I think on Game of Thrones, they had 6 weeks of overnights, I think.
6 weeks?
There's another movie, I can't remember what, that was shooting in Canada when I was shooting there at one point, that was on like week 8 of overnights. Like, what that does to your body is wild.
It's not correct.
Okay, Darren, your character is the only one who is straight up evil. Do you have any idea why the showrunners wanted to portray him that way?
Yes. Yeah.
Straight up evil.
Yeah. No redeeming features. Money, money, money.
I think there are guys out there in Hollywood that are like this, that are very bottom line, are very about the money, not interested necessarily in art, just interested in commerce and making sure that the movie is successful and palatable to a nice broad audience.
Jeez.
Oh, what's happening?